going on, all my gamers, all my ZenlessZoneZero gamers? So I did want to come on here and talk because with every story, with every patch, with all these games, we always get on here and talk about the story. So with ZenlessZoneZero 1.2 done and done, it is time to get on here and we go on to the pros and cons about the story. Now, how do I feel about it? I feel like it was a great story, bro. I love the Tour de Inferno. I thought it was a great story. But first, we're going to do this as we always do it. Pros first and then cons. So, for the first pro, of course, is my darling wife, Caesar King. I love that character and I love being able to play her. So, that is, of course, hey, there's a 10 out of 10 story right there because of my girl, Caesar King. I thought she was great. I love her character, but I will say her character did seem a little bit different in what I thought. I thought Caesar was going to be a little bit more mature, a little bit more refined, the way that she was shown in, like, you know, character trailers and just her art, but she is fiery and over the top, which of course it seems more in line with ZenlessZoneZero. Like, I'm not going to lie, the way that this game is presented, it does seem like that's how it would work, but the way that they presented her, it just seemed like a whole different kind of personality. Again, I'm not complaining. We're married. It is what it is. I love her for who she is. Now, the next part that I was very surprised about that I really, really liked was the Sons of Kaladin. I really, really like these characters, and that includes Lucy and Piper. Piper, I don't know if she's old or something. I don't know. Her just like slow talking just seems tired. She sounds like she needs a cane when she walks around. Sounds like an old grandma. I think those characters are really funny. I don't know why. Like, if anyone plays Nikke, Litter's a great character. I think she's really funny. You know, small characters that are just old for some reason. You know, Lucy surprised me a bit. Getting to know her a little bit more, her personality. She's not that bad of a character. I think she's okay. But, of course, Bernice, great character. And it's not just because she is caked up and has plenty and probably way too many panty shots. But I'm just saying, bro. Bernice, good character. I don't know how she walks around with all that thigh, bro. She has way too much thigh in such a good way. I love it. Great character. Now, a character that I really liked that unfortunately was a little bit in there for not a long time. You know, he's in there a little bit too short, in my opinion, was Pompey. Pompey seems like a badass character. You know, we finally get a really badass character in one of these Hoyo games, and he's an old man, and that's pretty cool. I like that. So I really liked Pompey. Unfortunately, if you played the story, and you know, this is not a spoiler free whatever, so if you haven't played it, I'm giving this warning right now because so far I haven't said any spoilers, but I will say a spoiler right now. Pompey, unfortunately, he gets turned into a hollow just way too quickly. I thought he would have been cool. You know, another character I thought was okay was, you know, the bad guy, the I forgot his name. I forgot his name. In my notes right here, I just said Twink bad guy, the classic. So yeah, whatever his name is, I can't remember his name. He's a twink, but he's the bad guy. He's cool, I guess. His motivations are pretty straightforward. Nothing too complicated there. Now, I wrote this as a pro for the ladies. I think Lighter is a cool character, and especially if you play him in English. He's got a badass voice actor who's got a deep voice. You know, I gotta hold it down for my ladies, bro. I can't just, you know, we're equal here, bro. We gotta hold it down for the ladies. So I say Lighter. I think Lighter's a pretty hot dude. All I'm saying. I think he's a great character. Now, I know a lot of people have their own feelings about this. I think the story progresses really nicely without the TVs. You know, I know the TVs are what made ZenlessZoneZero its own, like, unique. It's like a unique storytelling way. But me personally, I like the way it progresses without it. It feels nice, especially being able to walk around, talk to the characters and stuff like that. Being stuck in those TV scenes for a story, I think it just takes me out of it, because then you'll be like, holy shit, there's this scene there's all this talking, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now you got to do the TVs. For me, I just think the way that they have it now, pretty good. Not going to lie. Now, they shouldn't take out the TVs. I think the TVs and side quests, all about it. I think that's cool. But, you know, I'm just saying I like walking around in an open world. Even if it is confined to a certain space, I think it is all good. I just like being able to walk around as a character. You know, that's just me. I thought the cinematic moments in this story was really good, especially the last part with Caesar King, where she goes and she sacrifices herself. I thought it was a really good... everything's over the top, bro. Everything is always over the top with ZenlessZoneZero. So you know it's just going to be a good time with all these... now it's in a biker area, so now there's bikes and stuff like that. It does really seem really cool. The bike riding part as well. I know for me myself, man, I was like, God, this is so stressful. You're just riding around trying to dodge everything, you know, some of the obstacles come out of nowhere and you gotta like think really fast. I thought it was like super stress induced. It was like super stressful in like a good way. I was like, oh fuck, now you're in it now. I thought it was really cool. And then lastly, the music, always good. This game always has good music, and especially in the last cinematic scene with Caesar sacrificing herself, I think the music added like 10 times more weight behind the emotion, because without it, I think it wouldn't have been as emotional. You know, me being widowed for 20 to 30 seconds. That music added a lot. It was really cool. Now we must get to the cons, because no story is perfect, and as far as this story goes, man, it's not perfect. But the first con that I have is Ron Perlman. He's there. Ron Perlman is in the Outer Rings. He's knocked out for the entire story. Does nothing. I just thought that, you know, he gives up maybe a little bit more. What do you call it? A little bit more of a lore, and then he just dies. Ron Perlman doesn't die. He just gets knocked out. So he's knocked out, recovering for the whole time. So they might as well have just not even added him. He could have been on some side dialogue and would have been the same thing. Now, the story as a narrative perspective, like if you were to just read this story is very, very generic. There's nothing special about the story. It's kind of whatever. Now, I have to actually talk about that to go back to a pro. Sorry, I don't normally do this, but I usually get the pros and out of the way in the con. But then I wanted to talk about how, although this is a very generic story, which it is what it is, we accept that and we move on. I think the way that ZenlessZoneZero does its storytelling makes it so much better. So it's like it takes a generic story and it just makes it so flashy and engaging, and the what do you call it, the animations and everything, it just makes it good. But if you were to just read the script, I'm just saying it wouldn't have been as good. It's like watching Demon Slayer versus reading Demon Slayer, right? If you watch Demon Slayer, one of the best animes ever made. If you read it, God, I couldn't do it. It was dog shit. You know, the same thing with this story. It's whatever. But, you know, watching it, being the way that they tell it, just makes it from a 6 to an 8, in my opinion. But we got to move on. Bike riding. I think the bike riding scene was cool, but the problem with me specifically is I felt like the story could have, the bike could have been a lot cooler if you had a little bit more control over the bike. Like, you know, you have to accelerate and move and stay steady on the path. You just kind of move right and left. Right and left and dodge. I guess it's because I still have to consider it as a mobile game, because ZenlessZoneZero is a mobile game. Yeah, so I understand it there. I just kind of wished it was a little bit more, you had a little bit more control. It would have added so much more to the dynamic of this little part, and it would have made it a lot more stressful, because I would have crashed. But it would have been cool. Is what it is. Now, I think the problems in the story get solved way too easily, which also brings me to the next point. I think the story is way too short. Now, I did skip a lot of the not voice dialogues, and we're gonna get to that in a second. But even without a lot of the story, or even without that, it was only about 3 hours long. Now, if it was just 3 hours long and it built up some stuff, and we got to the next part in the next patch, again, it's the same thing with like the Black Shores and Wuthering Waves. I think it definitely could have used another patch or two. I'm just saying, it would have been nice for me. Whatever. It is what it is. Everything doesn't get resolved. A lot gets resolved. Not everything. The twink escapes. that slimy little twink, he gets away. But, I'm just saying, I kind of wish that these stories were a little bit longer, right? Now, this is a part where maybe I might even get hate for this, but I thought the boss was pretty much just a ripoff of Inferno Rider from Wuthering Waves. And I was just like, oh, he's got a bike. Oh my God, I know where this is going. And it is the part where they have, bikes, whatever. So I guess the only way they could have made it was something like Inferno Rider. So I can't really blame them, because how else are you going to make unless they made it a truck, it's not like they're going to make him Optimus Prime. So I understand it in a way, but I'm just saying, you know what I mean? But I also think he was way too easy. The boss fight took basically nothing at all. I honestly should not have brought Jane Doe, because she just made everything way too easy. I just killed everyone immediately once I hit the pop of her anomaly buildup. He died like instantly. It was kind of bad. But yeah. Now, to keep it fair, I got to keep it fair and balanced. And this is something that I said, me personally, I didn't have a problem with it, though I can't see why people would have a problem with it. The TV's removal made the story a lot shorter. I swear the TV added like an hour and a half, like an hour, 2 hours. So I am going to put removal of the TVs in a con, just because I know there are people who do like it. Me personally, I don't care, but just to be fair, that's all I'm saying. Though I do love my wife, of course, Caesar King, my beloved, I do think, and this is going to be my last con, I do think that this part in the story where you take her on a stroll around 6th Street brought the story to a screeching halt. And it's even worse because it wasn't voice acted. So I basically skipped the dialogue through the whole thing. Why was it not voice acted? I don't understand. Did you get tired? Did you get tired? Why was this whole part not voice acted? Anyways, that's a problem for me though. Like I just thought it would have been great if it was voice acted. They didn't. I guess they didn't. I don't know. They left it unvoice acted, so I skipped most of it. Is what it is. Anyways, as far as story goes, I really had an amazing time with it, man. I didn't realize that it was so short because I was just engaged the whole time. It's kind of like watching a Fast and the Furious movie. You're not in there for the great narrative. You're in there for the action, and I got the action that I wanted. It was great. I loved it, bro. I think this story was like at least an 8 in my opinion. As a personal bias, I might even put it as a 9 just because Caesar was in it. But tell me what you guys think. Did you guys like the Tour de Inferno, the 1.2 ZenlessZoneZero story? Are you guys looking forward to the rest of it? Did you guys like the lore drop at the end? Because I can't lie, chat. I don't know what about it got me super emotional when they talked about the big lore drop at the end. And then Miyabi shows up and then you're like, shit. Anyway, chat. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. Comment, like, subscribe, and I will catch you gamers in the next one. Bye.